So let's start with the obvious. And that is that the imposter syndrome thing is a whole lie. It's a feeling. It's not a fact. Okay. So you really need to start to do whatever you can to push past those feelings of not being good enough, or those feelings that no one's going to pay for my services. People are really going to pay that much for what I do. Yes, they will. Want to transform your business into a brand that truly shines? Well, you're in the right place. My name is Sommer Vega, and I am thrilled to have you here. With over 25 years of experience from leading communications teams to building my business from scratch, I've seen it all. Setbacks, success, and everything in between. And guess what? I'm here to spill the beans on what it truly takes to build and sustain a brilliant brand. So whether you're just starting out or looking to revamp your existing brand, you'll find golden nuggets of wisdom right here. We'll dive deep into strategies, mindset shifts, and nitty-gritty details that make brands extraordinary. Stick around, because Brilliant Brands Academy is where we believe that every entrepreneur has the potential to create something truly exceptional. And together, we'll turn that potential into reality. So hit the subscribe button and let's get started on this exciting journey to brand brilliance. Welcome back to Brilliant Brands Academy podcast, your go-to spot for building brands that are bold, bankable, and backed by strategy. I'm your host, Sommer Vega, and today we're going to get into something that every single entrepreneur needs to hear. This is a podcast that is about the financial lessons I've learned since being in business for myself. Let's be real. There are some things that nobody tells you when you start a business. The things that can make you or the things that can break you. And dare I say, this very thing, finances, is the reason why most businesses fail before 5 years, because it takes a very thick skin to stick it out. It takes a very thick skin to sacrifice and pursue this dream that you have of being an entrepreneur, despite feeling like you're not seeing the rewards right away. So in today's episode, I'm pulling back the curtain on the mindset shifts and the money truths that have transformed the way that I run my business and that protect my peace. And honestly, I'm still protecting my peace because it is a journey. So, number one, you have got to settle it that imposter syndrome is indeed the actual imposter. So let's start with the obvious. And that is that the imposter syndrome thing is a whole lie. It's a feeling. It's not a fact. Okay. So you really need to start to do whatever you can to push past those feelings of not being good enough, or those feelings that no one's going to pay for my services. People are really going to pay that much for what I do. Yes, they will. There is a reason why you're in this business in the first place. And most likely it's because you are good at what you do. And if it's a business that is more like an investment, then you must be good at handling investments and the business side of any type of endeavor. Okay. So according to a 2020 study by KPMG, 75% of executive women specifically report experiencing some sort of imposter syndrome at some point in their careers. But let me tell you, you didn't come this far by accident. Imposter syndrome will try to convince you that you don't belong in certain rooms and that you've already hit the plateau that you're going to get in your business and in your earning potential. But you belong in rooms that are built for you. In fact, I dare to say that there's some rooms that you've already built for yourself. So it's not your job to feel ready. It's your job to stay faithful. It's your job to stay consistent. It's your job to keep doing the things that you know you need to do to find success. The imposter syndrome is doubt. It's not you.
Pause. I have to remind you about my 5-day Brilliant Brands Accelerator program that is starting April 21st. You do not want to miss it. Go ahead to pocketpr.net so that you can find out more information about it. This is for you if you are just starting out building your brand, or you are in the thick of it but still need some brand clarity. Sign up today. You do not want to miss it. I am going to be there live teaching you the things that I've learned over 25 years on how to build a brilliant brand. Go ahead and do it. Sign up. Sign up today.
Number 2, high ticket equals higher potential. Oh my goodness. Please do not undervalue your offers. I did this in the beginning stages of my business. I tell you, I kept undervaluing myself. I kept undercharging for my services to the point where I ended up getting an accountability partner who was there for me to look over my proposals to make sure that I'm actually charging what I need to charge. And 9 times out of 10, this accountability partner, she would always be like, oh no, Summer, you need to charge more. I used to think that by pricing things lower, that would make my services more accessible. But here's the truth. The higher the offer, the higher the income potential, and the higher the transformation for your client. People value what they invest in. According to Kajabi, creators with premium offers of $500 or more tend to earn significantly more in the long run because they attract committed clients. In fact, I know one individual who, if you give them a cheaper price, he'll ask, well, what does this thing have that the higher price doesn't have? Because I want the higher price because I want the best. And there are people out there that think that way, that if it costs a certain amount of money, it must mean that I'm getting the best value out of this particular business. So when you price yourself way too low, or just not way too low, okay? If you price yourself too low, you are not doing anyone a favor, not even your audience. You're not even doing them a favor. Number 3, you can't help the poor by becoming one of them. This is very connected to my second point, my second lesson. Let's just call it what it is. Some folks will expect your business to operate like it's a charity, but you can't serve others if you're drowning yourself. This is another lesson. I'm being transparent. Oh my goodness. This is another lesson that I heard the hard way. I would constantly undervalue, I guess that's the theme of it all. I would undervalue myself. And I would hear someone's sad story about how they can't afford what I have, but they need it because they want to start a business and they need branding and they need marketing and graphic design and all of those things. In the beginning, because I was just starting out, I would really underprice my services to the point where it was almost like I was giving them away. And you know what ended up happening? My household suffered. My family wasn't eating. I mean, they were eating, but I'm being figurative. You know what I mean? My family basically was sacrificing food on the table. And I know I'm exaggerating, but you get the picture. Okay. They were sacrificing because I was not charging. And when you think of those clients that aren't paying, they're fine. But here I am struggling to make ends meet, struggling to pay the bills, struggling to pay the mortgage, struggling to put food on the table because I am undervaluing and undercharging for my services. And let's think about this long term. If you price your services accurately, right? That high value ticket price, you will find and attract clients who pay that. And when they pay that, you will have more than enough. And then what a great feeling it is to just write a check, stroke a check for charity. What I ended up doing, because my natural nature is just to give, I give, 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 give. That's just who I am, to a fault almost. So I had to reel myself in by deciding on one nonprofit that I give my services to pro bono every year. And once I have that one nonprofit, then that is my messaging on why I can't take another one on. And it just keeps me still kind of feeling that need that I want to be a benefactor to others. You were called to lead, not to bleed. You cannot pour into your business. You can't pour into your community or your family if you're constantly hustling for handouts or giving away your services for free. It's just not sustainable at all. And it's just outright not smart. And yes, we do serve and we do give, but we also charge. It's just a matter of what makes business business. You wouldn't go to Chick-fil-A and ask them to give you a meal for free just willy-nilly. Or you don't sit there and negotiate the price. Or any clothing store, Nordstrom's. You don't go in there and start negotiating the price. The price is the price. And if you can't pay the price, then you move on to the next store. And that's what I have found over the years has happened. Once I stuck to my guns on how much the services that I offer are worth, then I was able to attract the right people who easily stroke the check. And those who could not stroke the check, they went to someone else. They went to someone else who unfortunately was paying or charging less for the services. And let me note this. If it's less, 9 times out of 10, its value is not great either. I have to consider, or we have to consider, the fact that we have several years of experience. So in my case, I've got over 25 years of experience. I also made the investment to go to school for this. And I paid my dues early on in what I would like to say is more like an apprenticeship. So your 9 to 5 jobs that are connected to your business, they are like an apprenticeship. So I have learned through the jobs that I've had in the past, good, bad, and ugly. I have had great bosses that are mentors, but I have also had very bad bosses. But I still learned even through those experiences along the way. So I have paid my dues all this time to get to where I am and to build that confidence in the services that I offer. So you don't just get the point blank service, but you get the years of experience, the years of mentoring I've received, the years of failure that I've learned from, and the years of success as well. So that's what people are paying for, specifically if you're in the service business. Of course, if you're in the product business where you're selling a product, consider your training even there, whether it be training on how to actually create the product or even training on how to manage the business itself. There is something that you have done in the forefront of starting your business that your customers are paying for, that gives the value of it all. Plus, not to mention the materials and not to mention the time that it takes to produce the product. Hey, the time that it takes to produce whatever it is, even with your service. Because if you are coming down to it, how much do you want to make an hour? Think about that. How much do you want to make hourly? If it's $100 an hour, then think, how long does it take to create this product and multiply it? But then don't just stop there. What's the value of it all? So back to a service business like myself, if I am creating a social media campaign, for instance, that might not take me that long to do, because at this point in my career, I can do a lot of things efficiently and in excellence pretty fast. And that just comes from these 25 years of doing this, being in business businesses where there were high deadlines, high turnarounds. Specifically, when I was a journalist, I had a lot of high turnaround deadlines. And when I was an advertising executive, there were things that came in quickly and you had to turn it around quickly. So by just the mere fact of having that experience and knowing what to look for in products or services, I have the ability to do things a little bit faster than, say, someone who probably just graduated from college. And that's just the truth. It just comes with natural experience. And that's not to downplay anyone who just graduated from college. Not at all. I'd say that you are in the perfect position to learn as much as you can and continue to perfect your craft, and that you too have something valuable to offer, but always look for opportunities to grow. All right, let's move on. Next is number 4, and that is to charge even your friends and your family. Now, this one might ruffle some feathers, but here it is. Charge your friends and family, even if it's at a discounted rate, because people who pay attention. Free clients are often least committed. They don't show up, they don't do the work, and they don't get results. According to a 2018 survey by the Harvard Business Review, clients who pay full price are 40% more likely to complete a coaching program successfully than those who receive it for free. And I've seen this play out for myself. If the product is free, they are least likely to show up for the coaching calls. They're least likely to watch the modules. They're least likely to complete the worksheets and read the information. And then what happens? They don't get the success that your paying clients get, because let's face it, someone who's paying for a program that is, let's say, $500 to $1,000 or $2,000, they're going to make sure that they are paying attention because they've made that investment. I don't know about you, but when I put my money somewhere, I'm not going to not show up. I'm going to get the most out of the investment as I possibly can. And listen, your friends and family may never, ever be your biggest supporters. And that's okay. I'm going to be honest. I don't even think some of my friends and family have even listened to this podcast. And that's okay. I've sent it out to everyone. They know I've got one by now, but your calling isn't to be dependent on your friends and family's applause. You are more of a familiar face to them, and perhaps they don't necessarily know you in this business space, and that's fine. That doesn't mean they don't love you. That doesn't even mean that they don't support you. But I would say just don't have an expectancy that your friends and family are going to just jump on board and listen to, read, and do everything that you offer. It's unfair to expect them to, actually. It is, because we want customers and clients that hire us, not just because they're familiar with us, but that they really know what you have to offer. And quite frankly, in some cases, our friends and family don't know the intricacies of what we do. They just know, I guess, the title, our job title of what you do. You'll be shocked how many people are like, Summer, what do you do? And I'm like, I just make people look good. I help them with their branding. I help them get the word out, etc. But my friends and family, most of them have 9-to-5 jobs, so they don't necessarily need my services anyway. Now, number 5 is a good one, and I hope you get here. 6 figures can come suddenly. 1 month, you're scraping to get by. It's just like struggling, And then the next is boom, 6 figures. This is what literally happened to me. From 1 year, and I can't even remember the year because I've been consistent since it happened. But one year I was like making probably like 20,000 a year, if that. And then all of a sudden the next year, boom, things just popped off. And in that year I made more than six figures. And since then, it has been consistent and it's growing. So then my belief system in my business and my belief system in myself has increased as well. So you see, this is why you want to charge what you're worth, because it can get discouraging when you're not getting paid and you are struggling. It's encouraging when you are getting paid and things are looking good and you just have an abundance. This is the thing though. When you hit those six figures, you got to be prepared for the blessing you've been praying for. When your revenue grows, so should your structure. It may be time, in fact, to move from being an LLC, if you are an LLC, because a lot of solopreneurs, we start off that way, and then into being an S Corp for better tax benefits. You will save with tax benefits if you're in six figures or higher. With an S Corp, you're also required to put yourself on payroll rather than to just take owner draws, which keeps your finances cleaner and it often reduces self-employment taxes. So this is something I know in the beginning years of my business, I did often, and I'm honestly still making that transition into the S Corp, but those owner draws could end up being something that is hard to get control of, meaning that you're paying yourself as fires happen. You know, you draw money out of your business account because you want to pay this off or you want to do this or that. But once you hit those six figures, it is time to start thinking about the S Corp and putting yourself on a salary. A good CPA is a must, not a maybe, because we have to get our books in order. This is a lesson that I learned, and I am still in that process of doing this right now. Number 6, not every dollar is a good dollar. It's tempting to say yes to every single client, but every dollar is not worth it. Discernment is a business skill. Just because someone says they're interested in your services, and honestly, they could even have the money to pay for your services, doesn't mean that they're a good fit for you. So for me, in my service business, public relations, I have a discovery call. And in that discovery call, my goal is to do two things. That is for the client to see what I have to offer and discover if I'm a right fit for them. And then number 2, is the client a right fit for me? Because a bad client could be a headache. And in the long run, you could actually end up losing money because they take up a lot more of your time or they don't trust your processes. You have to ask, is this person ready to trust the process? Or are they just looking for someone to push buttons? That's something that I have found is not a good fit for me. When I have a process, so I have a customer journey from the moment that they are exposed to who I am to the moment that they sign on the bottom line and hire me. And then I also have a customer journey for those who sign from the launch of us working together all the way until the finished product. I have found that those clients who want to skip through a lot of the foundational, structural, strategic pieces where I am guiding the ship, those clients end up being a headache. Because I've had a couple of clients who I will meet and say, okay, we need to do this is next. And then they outright say, oh no, I don't have time to do all that. I'm at a 911. I need to do this instead. And then I find myself diving into producing some graphic design and doing some campaign before we've even had those structural pieces together. And you know why? It's because in both cases, when I think of it, I've had 2 clients like this. In both cases, their foundation and the structure of their business and their business environment was not sound at all. They were grabbing at all kinds of things. And while they hired me to come in and fix it and make it cohesive, they almost wanted me to just plug in and be a part of all the nonsense, where it was more like, I'm a button pusher. Oh, I just need you to do a flyer. I just need you to do this. No, 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 no. I really need you to trust the reason why you hired me in the first place, so that I can guide you through the correct process of streamlining all of your communications, and to get the messaging clear, concise, to the point, and to make it into a cohesive brand. The clients that allow me to do this, they find so much success because there's trust there. But the clients who want to kind of take the ball and be like, oh no, I don't know, I want to do this instead, I want to do that. It takes a lot of time, and I end up losing money because a lot of times they take more time than what is necessary. And then in all cases, we end up backtracking and getting back to the basics anyway. So it's like, why didn't you just trust me to start here? I segue. The final thing, and I touched on it a little bit earlier when I talked about your 100K years, and that is to get your financial house in order, get your books in order. That means hiring a bookkeeper, tracking every dollar. If you can't hire a bookkeeper right now, then make sure you're using some sort of tool to keep track of your books, and make sure that that tool also has an ability to upload receipts for your expenses as well. I particularly use QuickBooks Online because I am able to itemize all of my purchases throughout the year, and I'm also able to upload receipts for every single purchase. QuickBooks happens to own TurboTax, so that also allows me to file taxes easily as well, because everything is nicely put together and organized from the beginning throughout the year. What I would say with a tool like that is that you have to remain consistent in doing the work of your books every single month. You want to get into the habit of closing out your books every month, because if you don't and you wait, you will find yourself inundated with a lot of bookkeeping work. But of course, hiring someone makes it all easy. They will do it for you. They will do it for you. So the other thing is, you want to make sure you are issuing the 1099s for your contractors, and you are collecting your W-9s up front. If you don't build this foundation now, it'll be chaos when growth hits. According to a U.S. bank study, 82% of small businesses' failures are due to poor cash flow management and the lack of financial understanding. So you do not want that to be your story at all. Now, in closing, so here's your homework. Audit your money mindset, your pricing, and your back office. Decide today that you will run your business like a business, not a side hustle, and definitely not a nonprofit unless it really is a nonprofit. You were meant to thrive, not to barely survive, and not to be scrapping around and struggling from day to day. We are in business for time freedom, and we are in business for financial freedom. So you want to do the things that will give you both in the long run. And let's face it, we want to set up an inheritance for our children's children, as it says in the Bible. It says set up an inheritance for generations to come. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Brilliant Brands Academy. If this blessed you and helped you in any way, please share it with a fellow entrepreneur. And if you're ready to build a brand that banks, you know exactly where to find me every week on Tuesdays. Until next time, stay brilliant and stay paid.